The Deliverance is a 2024 supernatural thriller horror film directed by Lee Daniels and starring Andra Day, Glenn Close, Caleb McLaughlin, Demi Singleton, Monique Omar Epps, and Colleen Camp. And it tells the story, and it's inspired by true events, inspired by the Amon's haunting case, or the 200 Demons House, or the Demons House case. It's an alleged haunting and demonic possession which occurred in Gary, Indiana in 2011 between Latoya Amons, her mother Rosa Campbell, and her 3 children. Now, this film is inspired by those true events, but they changed it. This film stars Andra Day as Ebony Jackson, who is an alcoholic mother of a Pennsylvania family whose children are supposedly possessed by a demon. Now, Glenn Close plays Alberta Jackson, Ebony's religious mother. Then you have Caleb McLaughlin, who you know from Stranger Things. He plays Ebony's eldest son. You have Shantae is Ebony's daughter, and you have the youngest son in this as well. This is a really, really interesting film. This is a very different take on the exorcism genre in films. You could have called this The Exorcist, The Exorcism of so-and-so, Amon's House, or 200 Demon House, or Demon House, or whatever it is that may be. But calling it The Deliverance is really, really interesting because it puts a different spin on that genre, or that subgenre of exorcism movies. Nothing can beat what The Exorcist did back in 1973, and there is no comparison to that at all with this film. Lee Daniels directing a supernatural horror thriller film, very, very underrated, and Andra Day really shines in this as her role as Ebony as well. Glenn Close as Alberta is unfrigging recognizable in this. You will not know that that's her until you really see some scenes with her in it. Now, this film was released on Netflix on August 30th, 2024, with some selected releases or limited releases in theaters on August 16th, 2024. Now, I will say the film is not scary at all, but it serves as a psychological aspect to it, which is what I would say would be the category I would put this under. It's psychological horror. You see the family comes into contact with, dead flies flying around, or flies flying around, the smell and stench of rotting flesh, the hearing of footsteps, and how this one demonic entity is actually haunting every single person in this home except the grandmother, or the mother, played by Glenn Close, because she just has a big religious faith about her, and it really, really shows. The back and forth dynamic, the family dynamic is there in this film, and Andra Day, as a mother, does not hold back at all. She talks to her kids like, any mother would, in a way, in that kind of certain setting, and it is in a way in Pennsylvania, but they don't really precisely say where. You could say Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, but for changing the setting, it was really good. Now let's get to the point of the scares. You see the youngest son, or Andre, is really, really not, he's going through things, and there's a scene where each 3 of the kids go through an episode while they're at school, and it's one of the most interesting things you've ever seen in a exorcism film, for that matter. The basic aspect of it is that you have Monique also playing Cynthia, who is working with the Department of Child Services, as she is the worker, and she wants to check on the kids because Ebony's just moving around, and they've moved to 3 houses in 1 year. Her husband is in Iraq. So it's like, okay, what is the aspect of it? Is it all psychological? And you can tell that the demon feeds off of the energy of the weak. We all know that. But the weakest, you could see, is like, oh, it just feeds off one person. No, no, no. In this film, it's feeding off everyone who's weak, because the mother's an alcoholic. She has that weak stature. She's just demeaning herself more, and it's thrusting on the negativity onto her kids, so they're getting possessed. The aspect of not seeing what it is, but then you see the faces changing, you see it playing mind games on you and tricks on you, it's okay, but it just didn't forward the impact of what you thought a supernatural horror thriller film would be. There are some minor plot holes. There is a scene where the youngest son, Andre, goes downstairs, drinks a whole gallon of milk. You can tell he doesn't remember it. Then a bird hits a window. And then the next scene, the mother's in the kitchen. It's like, okay, so did she clean up the thing? And what kind? It's like there's certain scenes where the editing is a little bit misconstrued at times. Where I was watching, I'm like, okay, they're going to explain this. No, they just went right to the next scene. Okay, probably the only best scene in this is where Andre is doing something and the character of Cynthia, played by Monique, is watching him do something on the walls. That was it. The ending aspect to it, when you're facing the demon, really, really didn't hit it out of the ballpark. While it was a good concept for what a film can be and should be in the genre of supernatural horror, I feel like this being inspired by true events was a smart idea. Lee Daniels, as I stated, directed a phenomenal film. He's a very, very underrated director, but inspired by the Eamon's Haunting case. If you read that case, you see the aspect of what's going on. You read into the details of what's happening. And then you see the pictures that are online. Now, there's a big famous picture of where they take a picture of their house. You see something in that photo. It's very, very creepy. It's like the Amityville Horror house where they take a picture and you see the little boy peeking his head out. That's even creepier. But this one, even more so, because you see something in the window. So the whole thing of it was okay. I mean, an hour and 55-minute film. It takes a while to build up. You see things happening. Of course, we all know in horror films, it takes that trajectory of going up a spike and then it's like, whoa, boom, that happens. But in this, it just stayed steady, the ending, and then it went back down to steady. I didn't mind it, but it could have been done a little bit differently and better. As I stated, the family dynamic, the negativity, the craziness, the back and forth, the banter, really, really well written, really, really well done. The exorcism part, or how they say in this, the deliverance part, not that much believable. Certain parts you could tell were CGI or really practical effects. They tried, but for me, I feel like I needed a little bit more to scare me. This isn't scary at all. If you want to be scared, okay, watch another movie based on the genre of exorcism. But for what it is, everyone did give a great performance. The directing was phenomenal. It's just the story didn't hit a mark. If it's inspired by true events, then really make it out there to be inspired by true events. And I'm curious to see if more so underlining, not mentioned, big horror inspired by true events cases are going to be done, because I've never heard of the Eamon's Haunting case at all until this film came out and was being released. I was like, what is this? Oh, Lee Daniels doing a horror movie? Great, let's check it out. Then I was like, inspired by true events, Eamon's Haunting, let me read up about it. And then you read up about why the house was demolished in 2016, who demolished it. A big name paranormal investigator did demolish that house, but then yet you still have entities around that area. So it's really interesting to see like what the aspect is, and I'm curious to see what everyone thinks about this film. For me, The Deliverance gets 2 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about The Deliverance. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the aspect of the story, the acting, the directing? Do you find that it was a good supernatural horror thriller? Do you think it's up there as one of the greats in the genre of the exorcism category of films? And do you think anything could be done differently? And now that I've reviewed it, will you be checking it out now? And have you read about the true events that this film was inspired upon, about the Eamon's Haunting case, or the 200 Demons House, or the Demon House? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked, and also let me know what rating you would give The Deliverance. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next review video.